Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of All at Once. I'm your host, Alexis Christine. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining. And if you are a returning listener, I'm so happy to have you back. Today, I want to talk about the fear of loss and abandonment. It is something that I know very intimately. The fear of loss and abandonment is ingrained so deeply into so many people, and it really prevents you from living a full life and creating really deep and meaningful connections, because there's one part of you that's always kind of holding back because you don't want to give fully. Because if you give fully and then you do lose, that hurts way more than if you kept that part of you to yourself. And emotional and physical abandonment leave lasting wounds on us for years and years and years. Like, they leave traumas that we then have to go and work through, and that affect us in our day-to-day life and all of our relationships and the way that we make decisions. It's every single level it affects us on. And then that pain overshadows all of the amazing things that are happening in our life, all of the other things that we're living through, because we get so consumed in that pain, in that experience that we had, whatever it is, in that fear, that we're not able to be fully present in the things that are actually happening in our life right now. And then that leads to seeking security through external validation and creating these very unhealthy coping mechanisms and attachments to people or places or things. And that's actually like one of the roots of anxious attachment. We're not going to get into the attachment styles in this, but it's a form of like attachment-based fear. Holding on too tightly to things and to people actually create a lot of resistance in that dynamic. And actually, once you start working through the traumas, working through the fears and healing, you realize that true security comes from within. You cannot get that security from any other person, place, or thing. It all comes from within. And I know that thinking about working through fear of abandonment and loss and grief can feel very overwhelming, and it can feel very scary because it brings up a lot of really deep and hard feelings. But this is a reminder that, like, don't rush it. It's a process, right? You can go as slow as you need to, and learning how to work through this and handle it will create so much more ease in your life. And it's something that I think so many of us neglect working through because we're scared of the pain that it can cause, and we don't want to relive all of those fears. But it is something that is so important for us to learn and understand how to deal with. So we're creating healthy connections in our life. We're able to fully love. We're able to really live life to the fullest and not live in a state of fear or anxiety. So the way that we do this really is by shifting that fear into an inner sense of security. And personally, my favorite way to work through this, and I know I talk about this all the time, it's through neural reprogramming. It's through that shadow work. It's through that inner child work. It's literally rewiring your brain, going into the subconscious, understanding where this fear came from, what experience was that, what belief was that. Like, some people literally have anxious attachment because they were the babies that were left to cry for hours alone in their crib, and they thought that their parents were never coming back, right? And it's like, that's not wrong, because if you do it the other way, where you're constantly coddling your baby the whole time, then they also can have anxious attachment because they're so used to being to their parent that when they do leave, it's like this whole thing, fear of abandonment, whatever. Like, there's so many layers that go into this. There is no right or wrong, but that's why so many of us experience this. Because as a kid from ages 0 to 7, that's when our subconscious is like really being formed, right? After 7, we move out of theta brainwave, and a lot of what happens and a lot of what we've learned, how we see the world, our belief systems, our attachment styles, whatever, all of that is formed before that. And so think about all the things that can happen to you as a kid that could cause fear of abandonment. Literally dropping kids off of daycare and they're crying while their parent leaves, and they cry the whole day because they think they're never going to see their parent again. What do you think that does to your subconscious mind? Like, there's so many layers, which is really why I want to go in and talk about this today. Of course, if you guys have been listening, know that I lost someone very close to me back in November of 2023. They took their own life, and it was after like 8 months of living together, being in partnership. It was a whole ordeal. And I went through my own dark night of the soul, my own very dark grieving process, where I essentially was just in like a dark hole of grief, and I did not know how to get out. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today and the things that I did is stemming from that experience. I did have anxious attachment style before that, probably from many other things in my life. But that was the first time I've ever experienced really true, deep grief because it was an unexpected death. And I had to learn step by step how to move through it and how to not be scared of giving myself fully to someone again, how to not be scared of loving again, how to not be scared of losing, if that makes sense. So one of the ways that I started doing this was, instead of focusing on what was gone, I focused on what I still had, right? So obviously when you're grieving someone, there's a whole grieving process. I'm not saying to rush the grief at all. But this is also going for if you just have fear of abandonment in general, because that was something that I had before. So let's put it in another example. There was another relationship I had where I was losing myself in that relationship, and I was molding myself to the version of myself that he wanted me to be, to the relationship dynamic that he wanted, because I was so scared of losing him that I put what I wanted and what I needed to the side and just molded into what he wanted so that I would have him there, right? So let's use that as this example. If you focus on what you're going to gain or what you have gained after losing that person, instead of everything that you've lost, it puts things into perspective, right? So if I'm with this person and I'm losing myself, what is the cost of that? When that relationship did end, I had to look at all of the things that I still had in my life. Instead of focusing on the fact that I was no longer with him, it was like, what else do I have? I have a beautiful community of friends who love and support me and are here for me. I have a job that feels at that time very fulfilling, and I have an amazing work-life balance. I have ample opportunity to travel, to do whatever I want. I ended up moving to Mexico for a month. What did I have there? I had an apartment to myself. I had access to plant medicine that took me on amazing journeys. I built an entirely new community. I was on the same time zone as my family again, so I was able to speak to them more often. I had so many beautiful things still in my life that actually losing that one person didn't do anything. It didn't affect me negatively in any way, shape, or form. But when you're in those moments and you're scared of losing that person, it feels like you losing them is losing your security, is losing your sense of stability, is losing the sense of love that you have in your life. And you're so focused on that one person and everything that they're providing for you in that moment that you forget that actually all of those things can be found elsewhere. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on, but one of the things that I learned in that moment was actually everything that I needed is within myself anyway. I don't need to get it from other people. I have it all in here. Yes, there's moments where you can feel lonely. Yes, there's moments where you want to be cuddling up on the couch with someone. Physical touch is a basic human need. I get it. There's some things that we can't always provide for ourselves, but genuinely everything that we need to keep ourselves mentally stable, emotionally stable, to have ourselves feeling secure, to have ourselves feeling loved, all those things can be found within yourself. It's also an opportunity to look at what is possible for me now. What new opportunities can I gain from no longer being in partnership with this person or no longer having this person in my life? Every moment holds the opportunity for growth and expansion. I know that in the moment, when you're losing that person, whether it's a loved one or a family member that's passed away, whether it's a breakup, whatever it is, it feels really hard and you can't really see beyond that state. There is the opportunity for growth. There is the opportunity for expansion. And with time, you will see that and you will realize it. One of the most fun things for me to do actually is to look back on all of the really big heartbreaks that I had. And in those moments, I felt so lost. But when I look back and I see how my life has panned out after that, oh my God, I'm like, thank you. Thank you, universe, for giving me that heartbreak. Thank you, universe, for removing that person from my life. One of the other guys I was dating in London, it was a horrible breakup. It lasted a month. It was this whole toxic thing. It was not ideal. And I remember I felt so broken. I was crying myself to sleep every single night. It was the worst experience in the world, right? And then by the time that month ended and we officially were no, this is done, whatever, officially cut ties, and I had cut him off of everything, my life truly began. It was amazing. I started doing 75 hard, which was honestly like the most life-changing thing of my entire life. I don't know if phase 1, 2, and 3 that I did after were as impactful as just the original 75 hard, but that was magical. I ended up spending New Year's with a friend who introduced me to another friend that night, who introduced me to psychedelics for the first time. And that's how I did my entire psychedelic journey, next level of my spiritual awakening, learning more about the plant medicines and having all of the amazing healing experiences through that. Had I still been with that partner, I would have spent years with him doing God knows what. And I never would have had that avenue into this next level of healing that I jumped on. Had I never made friends with that person and had all of those experiences, I never would have made friends or met the next group of people that became our like crew that we constantly hung out with. Okay. I never would have had half of the girls' trips that I had with them. I never would have met the next person that I started dating. And had I not dated him and broken up, I never would have moved to Mexico. I never would have done that plant medicine ayahuasca ceremony there. I never would have met half the people that I met there. Never would have gone to the second ceremony that I went to because I met one of the girls from that ceremony at the first one. Like, it's just a whole chain of reactions. And I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, that was the best thing to ever happen to me. So I know that in the moment, it feels really hard. But when you look back, you will be able to see how amazing it was for you. The next thing that is really helpful is practicing gratitude. Be grateful for the moments that you did have together, for the good times that you did have together, for all of the amazing things that happened while that person, place, or thing, because again, this can be jobs, this can be homes that you lived in, whatever it is, all of the amazing things that happened when that person, place, or thing was still in your life. So instead of focusing on what you're losing, being grateful for the things and the time that you did have changes your energy so dramatically, not only within, but it also changes the energy that you're sending out to the universe, and you're sending the universe a message of, thank you, I'm grateful for you, I'm ready for what's next, instead of having this resentful energy of like, well, now I don't have this, now I don't have that, blah, 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 and getting angry for what's been taken away. As I kind of mentioned before, building a strong foundation from within is going to be key in learning how to deal with loss and learning how to deal with the fear of abandonment and that just the fear surrounding all of that. It does take time, okay? And it's work. Healing is not easy. It requires you to go into your subconscious mind. It requires you to go back over traumatic events that have happened in your life. And it requires you to work through those things and teach yourself that even though those things happen to you, you are safe. You are okay. It does not change your worth, and it does not change what you deserve in life. Just because someone left you at some point in your life does not mean that you are unworthy of love. It does not mean that you are not a good partner. It does not mean that you're not worthy of having that thing. If you get fired from a job, it does not mean that you aren't worthy of having a good job. You aren't worthy of having a high-paying job. You aren't worthy of being paid for anything that you do. It doesn't mean that you suck at your job and you're never going to find another one, okay? Finding that security within yourself to know that no matter what happens, no matter how people treat you, you are still worthy, and nothing that happens to you actually affects your level of worth or who you are as a person will make all of the difference. And this is, I'm telling you, it's a hard one to do because it requires a lot of inner work, and people, also myself in the past, have not wanted to put in the effort to do it because it takes time, it takes energy, and it's hard to go over all of those things. And it's hard to honestly really face yourself and say, this is how I feel about myself. This is what I really think about myself. It's hard to come to terms with that sometimes, right? But knowing that everyone's actions have absolutely nothing to do with you and are a direct reflection of their internal world, their level of healing, how they are coping with whatever it is they're going through, makes a really big difference. Because like, say, for example, you're fired from your job. I mean, maybe you did suck at your job. That could be a thing. But realistically, it has nothing to do with you. It's budget cuts. It's performance. It's all about the numbers. You might actually be really good at your job. You might actually be a really lovable person in the company. You might have a lot of friends. Like, people might like working with you, But if they don't have the numbers that they need, they will fire you, right? And again, it has nothing to do with you. It's just not working. Maybe that's just not the right fit. Maybe they just don't have the budget to keep putting into whatever it is the department that you're in, right? It doesn't have anything to do with your worth. So once you're able to build up that inner stability, build up your own self-worth, your own self-love, and heal the things and the beliefs that are causing you to feel like you are less than and are causing you to feel like if you lose whatever it is, you will not be the same, you will not be okay after, you are going to be able to live your life so much more open, so much more free, and so much more confident in yourself because you know that no matter what happens, you are safe, you are okay, and yeah, it might hurt in the moment, but you will move on from that onto something better. And remember, healing is not linear. It does take time and it is a process. And there's layers to things. You might go through and heal a belief and think that you're good. And then all of a sudden there's a memory or something that's even deeper that hits that same belief that you now need to go through and work again. It's like an onion, right? There's layers to it. So remember, this does take time. This is a process. You are never going to be like finished, right? Healing never ends because we're living life every single day, having new experiences every single day. But if you can get yourself to the point where you just have that self-confidence, that self-love, and that inner stability to know that like other people don't define you, life will be so much easier for you. This will also lead to what I said before about understanding that everything you need is within you. You can self-soothe, you can self-nurture, you can build yourself back up in those moments because you have the tools and the belief systems to get yourself back to the place where you're feeling good and you're feeling confident. You don't need that external validation because you're able to validate yourself and actually believe it. It creates a really big sense of self-love and self-security so that you feel safe and okay within yourself no matter what happens. Okay, and then the next thing is loving without attachment. And this is really hard. This is something that I'm still working on, but it's essentially the belief that like you can love someone, something, someplace, whatever, and have an amazing time or experience and understand that they are not yours, you are not theirs, and there is no attachment. You can be so present in that moment and have so much gratitude for the experience that you're having and understand that nothing lasts forever and being okay with the fact that at some point it will end. I know that sounds very, I don't want to say dark. Dark is the wrong word. It sounds like very bleak, but it's true. Because even if you're with the person that you're going to marry and you marry them and you have kids together and you have that life together, at some point you're not going to have them. You're going to grow old and one of you is going to die. Like nothing does last forever. So being able to love without that sense of attachment makes it so much easier because you understand that nothing in this life is permanent. Nothing in this life is yours. Nothing in this life is mine. At some point, things can change. They can change at any moment. And having that realization, having that understanding and knowledge, and being able to love and be there and support and do whatever without having that sense of attachment allows you to love so much more freely, allows you to be so much more grateful and value the time you do have with that person, place, or thing while you're having it instead of taking it for granted. And then when you've centered yourself, right? When you're the center of these experiences and you're enjoying your time with these people, places, or things, but you're not allowing yourself to attach to them, they're not becoming part of your identity, there's no internal loss, right? Because you are the center. You had an amazing experience at this place with this person, whatever it is. And then when that eventually does shift, there's no internal loss because you are the main character. Your identity is not attached to them. They move on, they do whatever. Your job changes, you switch roles, you go to a different company, you go to a different country, whatever it is. There's no loss. Yeah, you might mourn a little bit because you're in this routine of having that. And now you have to get used to a new routine without that person, place, thing, job, whatever it is. But you don't feel at a loss because you are the center of everything that you experience and you are not attached to anything. And I know that that sounds kind of like psychotic, almost having no attachments. I don't mean it in the way where like you're detached from things, okay? There's a difference between not being attached and being detached. right? Because I can absolutely love this jacket, right? I'm enjoying wearing it. I'm so excited about it, all of these things. But if I lost it tomorrow, then like that's okay because I'm not attached to it. Being detached from wearing this jacket would be like, I don't give a crap what I wear, chuck it on, whatever. Like having no thought, having no enjoyment out of it. It's just a thing, right? That's detachment, but not being attached, like is still being able to enjoy the experience, still being able to show love, to show gratitude, show support, whatever it is, and being okay when that person, place, or thing leaves because you have not allowed them or it or the place, the job, whatever it is, to define you. Okay, and I want to share an experience that I had in my first ayahuasca ceremony. I've talked about this on here, obviously, in the ayahuasca episode, but that's so far back now that if you haven't listened to it, feel free because it's really interesting. But the experience that I had basically was with Mama Aya. She was showing me all of the fears that I had that needed to be worked through in order to step into my highest timeline, right? And she's showing me all of these visions and all of these things. And I'm like bricking it. Like I'm actually getting scared because at first I didn't realize that she was showing it to me to heal. I thought she was showing it to me because that was going to be my future. And she was like, you got to be okay with this because this is what's going to happen. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, moving on. That is all explained in the episode. Coming out of that ceremony, I realized that everything that I need is actually within myself. All of the fears that I had were beliefs within my own brain, right? And during that ceremony, we were outside. And I remember every time I felt scared, every time I felt nauseous, every time I felt like whatever, I would look up at the sky and I saw this specific constellation. And anytime I looked at it, it made me feel so safe, so grounded. I felt just good again, right? It was like a soothing thing almost for me. And coming out of that ceremony, I was like, okay, like that constellation was really meaningful to me. I just want to get it tattooed on me. I just want 3 little dots. No one will even see them. I'll just internally know like that's a message for me, whatever. And then I'm reaching out to the tattoo person, we're chatting, whatever. And she's like, how big do you want them? And so I was just looking at my body to be like, okay, I'm sure I can find a birthmark size that she can just duplicate kind of thing. I found the exact shape of the constellation on my arm in birthmarks. Okay. Literally. And it was like this instant message of everything you need is within yourself. This constellation grounded you. You wanted that constellation on you. Bitch, it's already there. It's literally on your arm. It's already within you. All you have to do is look at that. It was the craziest experience. I went and I got them connected with like a dotted line. You can't see them because I'm in long sleeves, but it was just like the most beautiful, potent closing message of, hey, remember what I told you? Everything you need is within yourself. All the safety that you need within yourself. All the grounding you need within yourself. All the regulation you need within yourself. All of the confidence you need within yourself, right? Like it's all there. All of the security you need within yourself. All of the validation within yourself. Everything is in there. So that's something that I really want to push through as a message to you guys is that I know sometimes things feel hard. We feel scared of losing people. We feel like we're going to lose ourselves. We don't know what we're going to do without them. Or we get so attached to our job that it's like, who are we if we don't do this job? What do I do with my time if like this isn't what I'm doing, if I'm not at this company? Like it becomes so much of our identity. But like actually, it doesn't mean anything. Everything that you need to feel okay, to feel safe, to feel secure truly is within yourself. And when we can get to the point where we understand that and acknowledge that and really feel that through all of the different ways that I've explained in this episode, it really does take away our fear of loss, our fear of abandonment. And it's something that every single time I have felt scared of losing something or someone and my life has shifted and those things have been taken away, I've always been better off for it. Honestly, I've always been better off for it. And now every single time I'm in a situation where I start getting attached to someone or I start getting attached to something, I remind myself like, hey, you don't need to be scared of losing this because every single time you've gone through a loss before, life has blossomed for you in such a beautiful way. Like you're always okay after. You're always better off for it. And just having that understanding and being able to have that safety and security within myself and remind myself of that every time those feelings of fear or of those feelings of like loss or abandonment start creeping in, it's like, oh yeah, no, I got this. I'm good. No matter what happens, like, yeah, maybe it'll hurt, but I'm good. I don't need to fear it, you know? And it's a really, really beautiful message to come away with. And I really hope that if any of you are going through or experiencing any sort of loss or grief or any of the fears of like abandonment or anything on kind of this topic, that you do work through all of the things that I said. You take all of the tips, find out what works for you, what you need more of, what you need less of, whatever, and get to the point where you can give yourself that sense of safety and confirmation and validation that like, you're good. You got this. There is nothing to fear. I know that this was kind of more of like a rambly episode. This is just a topic that I do feel so deeply towards, and I've had such an intimate relationship with my entire life that now that I'm on the side of it where I understand what's happening and I know how to work through it when those feelings do come up, it's made my life a lot easier, and it's allowed me to really dive into things deeper and live a little bit more fully, like live more of a fuller life, because I don't have that fear running the show. And that's really all I hope for you guys. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please give us a like, a subscribe, a review, a share, whatever it is, so I can help as many people as possible on this journey, because this really is such an important topic. And if you have any questions, of course, always reach out to me at iam.alexischristine on Instagram or on TikTok. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.